Welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends with special guest, John Corabi, lead singer of the Dead Daisies.
Hello, everyone. We are back for another edition of Interviewing the Legends. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Over a decade ago, the Dead Daisies burst into the music scene. Their mission to create some good old-fashioned 70s style rock, gather some of the finest musicians in the world, and have a great time keeping rock music alive. The Dead Daisies recently released their latest single, Love That'll Never Be. The song came together while the band was working on songs for what became their latest album, Light 'Em Up. Also, look out for the release of their upcoming blues album, Looking For Trouble. The Dead Daisies are pushing forward, generating energy, and taking chances to ensure that every person who experiences them has no doubt that rock is indeed alive and well. Take that, Gene Simmons. Please welcome lead singer of the Dead Daisies, John Corabi, to Interviewing the Legends. Hello, John.
How you doing, buddy?
Where are you calling from today, man?
I am actually in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, cool.
We finally got a break in the weather. So it is a beautiful sunny day. And when I'm done here, I'm going to do some errands with my wife on my motorcycle and, just try and get a little sun in before I leave to go to Europe.
Exactly. You're going to need it.
Yes, trust me.
First of all, say hello to Doug. Me and him did an interview back when I think we were promoting Make Some Noise back in the day. Yeah. Doug's a great guy. He's an awesome dude. Me and you have a few things in common. We were both born in 1959. I was born in January. And through our sons, we both have twin granddaughters.
Yes.
Very cool, huh?
Yes. and it's amazing to me how fast I do not remember growing up quite as fast as these two are, but
I know.
Yeah, they're precious, man. They're awesome. Good girls. Smarter than a whip. Too smart.
Too smart, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Way ahead of their time. How old are they now?
7.
Yeah, mine are 7 too. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're a handful. They're characters. They love dancing. They love their music. They love their daddy. So
cool.
Life is good.
How are they identical?
No, I thought they were at first.
Right.
But there's some subtle differences now. I at first I was like, I don't know which one I'm talking to.
I know.
But they're growing up, and now there's like these subtle little differences where I can tell the two of them apart.
Exactly. So, I had the same issue. And now their personalities are different. I can see that, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great, man. I babysit a lot. I take care. I love it.
Yeah, my son was laughing. I was kidding with him. And he, when they were first born, I was kidding with him, obviously joking. I've got a very dark sense of humor, but I was kidding with him and his girlfriend. I go, one of these girls calls me grandpop. I'm kicking him right in the teeth. Like, I don't want to hear it. And then, so I went to Europe and I was doing a bunch of acoustic shows over there. And my tour manager, I was telling him what I had said, and he was laughing. He's like, "Dude, you're insane." But by the end of the trip, I had to purchase like a whole other suitcase because it was like, there was a cool little leopard fur jackets that I saw in France, and I bought them each one. And then I was buying them these dolls and like these candies and just all this weird stuff. And he was laughing. He goes, "Dude, you're going to need another suitcase." And then when I got home, I just dropped the suitcase off at my son's house. And I go, "Here, this is some stuff I got for the girls." And then about 2 days later, he goes, "Yeah, how's that grandpop thing working out for you?" you know. So I laugh, but they FaceTime me all the time and just want to talk, and it's awesome.
It's awesome. When they come over, I tell them we have one rule in this house. There are no rules. You know, I love to
Yeah, it's
spoil them.
it's funny. They come over and you know, so I whatever. It's just a blessing, man. It's awesome.
It is. How many grandkids do you have? Is just the two, or you got more?
No, I have six.
Really? I got
Yeah,
five.
yeah. My
Yeah.
my son is 37, but I have a daughter that's 10 years older,
Uh-huh.
and she's got four. Yeah, four. So yeah, this is old news for me. I'm just like, it's all good.
Yeah, you're just like me, man. My daughter's going to be 40 and my son is 37, I guess. Yeah, they grow fast, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I got to talk about the new single, man. Love That'll Never Die. That to me, that's a hit. I was a DJ back in the late 70s. I was a top 40 guy, and I can find the hits. And this is a hit. This should be on the radio if radio was on only like it used to be.
Well,
But
from your mouth to God's ears, pal. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
man. It could
It,
it could be a country hit too. You know that?
you know what? You know what's funny? I'm just honestly all this week I have been on the phone doing radio interviews,
Right.
and I'm just pleased. And you'll get this. Like we grew up in a time when DJs, like, if they were out doing like a rock night or something in a club, I mean, the DJs were like rock stars as
That's right.
well.
Sure.
And, it's unfortunate. I get, the whole capitalism thing, but, it's to me, the unfortunate part has been the fact that, again, I'm not knocking Clear Channel, but I kind of am.
Me too.
They control like
Yep.
400 radio stations in
Mhm.
America, and its playlist goes out. And I even back in the late 90s, I was out with a band called Union,
Yep.
and we were in Texas, and a DJ was complaining then about the fact that they were being neutered,
Yep.
and he was like, "Man, like these guys in Atlanta are sending these playlists out." And it's like I can only play these 20 songs,
I know.
and but people in Texas want to hear Stevie Ray Vaughan and
Yep.
ZZ Top and even King's X, who's from
Hmm.
Houston. They're like they want to hear Texas stuff,
Yep.
and I go, I get it, but now I don't know what's happening. I don't know if these radio stations are adding us on their own. But I've literally been on the phone all week to radio stations, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm hoping that there's a slither of daylight here for a
Hmm.
band like the Dead Daisies, who
Hmm.
normally on radio,
Oh yeah.
not a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're keeping our fingers crossed, and it's been going great.
Well, blog radio's gotten big, and of course, like the Siriuses and the XM, all those guys have gotten pretty big as well. Terrestrial radio just sucks, man. Like you said, it's a conglomerate. You got
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. It really is. I hate it. I really
Yeah,
hate it.
and to be honest with you, I don't even know how these new bands, because I grew up in Philadelphia. We had
Right.
WYSP, WMMR,
Yep.
and they would even do like on a Friday night or Saturday night, Sunday night, whatever. At
Hmm.
least they would take a couple of hours and they would allow local original bands to send their demos
Sure.
in, and they would play them on the radio, and and it's just doesn't exist anymore.
No. And there aren't
And
any rock bands. There's no rock bands on the radio. Bands don't
yeah, it's
exist.
or the ones that are there, it's like, okay, how much more money does Zeppelin need? Like
Right.
they'll play Stairway to Heaven or
The
Kashmir.
same crap over and over again. You
Yeah,
know?
so it sucks, but at the end of the day, I'm just happy
Hmm.
that radio seems to be embracing Love That'll Never Be,
Right.
and
Good.
just, have fun with it.
And you guys, when you hear the band, you can hear remnants of some legendary bands in your music, but you got your own style. You got your own music, you got your own sound, which is cool. And a lot of bands don't do that. It's actually hard to have your own band. I mean, your own sound in a rock band nowadays, because everybody's going to say, "Oh, you ripped off so and so," or "You ripped off," but you guys don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I don't really care like who you are. I could, and I'll use this as an example, and I'm
Hmm.
sorry my answer is going to be a little long in the tooth, but
No, no problem.
nothing is original anymore.
No.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So I remember, I mean, this was, God, back in the early 2000s. I was married for a minute to this girl that was, she was just raving about Marilyn Manson, who I actually like.
Hmm.
I'm not, this is not a slag towards Marilyn Manson, but she was like, oh my God, he's so original and da 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 da. Da. And I kind of sat there for a minute and I'm like, not really. And she was like, what are you talking about? Like, name one. I go, okay, let me just explain to you what Marilyn Manson has done here. Marilyn Manson is taking elements of Alice Cooper
Right.
and he's mixing it with elements from David Bowie,
Hmm.
and he then elements of Nine Inch Nails, and he's putting it into a stew and he's doing his own thing.
Yep.
We got into the biggest argument about it. And then finally, the IFC channel, the Independent Film
Hmm.
Channel,
Yep.
ran that last show that was filmed for Prosperity
Hmm.
that David Bowie did as Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars.
Right.
And it was hilarious because a lot of people don't realize it. But you know that giant circle with
Hmm.
the broken arrow
Yep.
pointing down that Manson had as his
Yeah.
logo? That was David Bowie's backdrop
Yep.
in that video.
Hmm.
And I called her over and I said, look, I want you to watch this and tell me what you see. And she's
Yep.
sitting there and she's looking at it. She goes, what are you looking at? I go, look at David Bowie's backdrop. And she goes, that's Marilyn Manson's logo. And I
Right.
go, no, that's David Bowie's logo. Marilyn Manson just redid it again. And
Exactly.
then she got it. And I'm like, so, the Daisies, we grew up on Zeppelin, the Beatles,
That's right.
Aerosmith, AC/DC, like, whatever. And so all this stuff just goes into the pot. We stir it up. We put our spin on it
Hmm.
and then put it out there. I mean, we light them up. We wrote
Sure.
that song with Stevie D from Buck Cherry.
Right.
And
Good band.
yeah.
Yeah.
And as soon as everybody heard it, they're like, oh, kind of sounds like AC/DC. Well, duh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not arguing with you.
Right.
That's one of our influences.
Sure.
So nobody's doing anything original. I love Greta Van Fleet, but oh my God, it
Oh,
sounds like
come
Zeppelin
on.
1.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I
I
mean?
don't. I don't like them.
Well, even Robert Plant was like, the kid's got a great voice. It kind of reminds me of somebody. And then he
Yeah.
chuckled. So
Yep.
nobody's really doing
No,
anything original
they're
anymore.
not. Well, listen,
You know,
the Beatles and Led Zeppelin were not original either. If you listen to their music, they copied a lot of artists. I mean, if you want to get original, you got to go back to the 1940s or something like that. Because everybody copied those guys, especially blues.
well, and if you'll get a kick out of this. Nice. You gave me a segue and didn't even realize you did it. But when we were doing this Light 'Em Up record,
Right.
historically, we've always done like a little tip of the hat on all of our records to the
Right.
bands we grew up listening to.
Right.
And this time we went down to Muscle Shoals.
Hmm.
We recorded most of the record in Nashville, but we did do some writing and recording at Muscle Shoals. We were down there for maybe 10 days. And while we were there, the legendary studio Fame, which
Right.
is where the Swampers were originated in,
Sure.
and it's. I'm sorry again about my long answers, but uh, the studio Fame is actually a museum and a
Hmm.
functioning studio. So we were down there setting up, and we're looking around at all these great photos of Aretha Franklin and Otis Redding and the Allman Brothers and all this stuff. And while we were there, we said we would like jam at night. Marty was like he'd walk around at like dinner time with a bottle of wine or whiskey or gummies or whatever, and we just started jamming. And the one thing that we all kind of we could put together and knew
Hmm.
was just a bunch of old blues standards. So we did stuff like Crossroads, Born Under a Bad Sign,
Hmm.
Black Betty, like just all this stuff. And we just kind of jammed it, but we recorded it. So we actually did two records in that month.
Hmm.
We did the Light 'em Up record, which is out now.
Right.
And then later this year, in like June, we got a record coming out called Lookin For Trouble,
Oh man, I'm looking forward to that.
which is just an album full of, it's just a bunch of old, crusty men drinking wine and whiskey and gummies,
Awesome.
having some fun, just playing some old blues standards. And we've recorded it all for Prosperity, and it's coming out later in the year.
That's going to be
So,
incredible. That's
yeah,
going
it'll
to be
be
awesome.
awesome, dude.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
But
Or not.
again, like you were saying, it's a
Uh-huh.
tip of the hat. We
Yep.
usually do a tip of the hat to the bands we grew up.
Yeah.
We said, you know what? Let's tip the hat to all the guys that influenced the bands
Hmm.
that we grew up listening to. So the Zeppelins, Beatles, Stones,
Yep.
like all this stuff, and it's awesome.
I'm looking forward to that, man. That's going to be great. The songwriter from Born on the Bad Side, I had him on the show. He was a cool guy, really cool guy. Um, Man, I tell you one thing. Well, you got your European tour starting March 5th. That's gonna be fun. Um, but the Light 'em Up album is incredible. I loved
Thank
it.
you, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Light 'em Up, heavy rocker. Um, your voice is incredible, by the way. You can't really pinpoint who sound like, but sometimes you might sound a little Dan McCafferty of Nazareth and Phil from UFO, and but you've got an original voice, which is great. And I don't know how you do it because I'd be coughing my brains out if I sung like you.
Well, listen, we're all getting older, and it's like I had a music coach or vocal coach tell me one time. I was like sitting there worried about like I can't sing some of those notes that I sang when I
Hmm.
was 25.
Right.
And he goes, how old are you? And I go, I'm like 50, 55. He goes, dude, take a piece of wood,
Hmm.
put it out in your backyard, and watch what happens to it. Winter, spring, summer, fall. Do
Yep.
that over the course of a few years. The wood's going to disintegrate. We're organic human
You
beings.
can't help it. You can't
Yeah,
help it.
it's life is what it is. But
Yeah.
now I might not sing as high as I did when I was younger, but I've
Right.
kind of figured out how to pace myself, and whether it's on stage or even leading up to the show, I figured
Sure.
out how to pace myself. And I just, I don't know if I'm singing right or wrong, but
Oh, it's
I'm
great.
just doing what I do.
Great voice. Um, Paul McCartney. I think I don't know, man. I hate to say it, but I think it's over. He should retire. His voice is gone. It really is.
Yeah,
I
I just saw, but dude, it's like, how old is he now? 81?
Yeah,
And he's like, now we're just at 81, we're just sitting there
I
going,
know.
kind of losing a step.
Yeah, yeah.
But I got to say this. I have a friend that works at the arena here in
Hmm.
town,
Right.
And it was like maybe, I don't know, 3 years ago, four
Yeah.
years ago, McCartney played at the Bridgestone.
Right.
And he goes, dude, I saw the most insane thing that I've ever seen in my life. He goes, Paul McCartney showed up at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock, whatever it was. And his sound check consisted of them running the entire set.
Wow.
Then he
Maybe it's
took a
too
dinner.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he took a dinner break,
Right.
and then he went out and did the entire set again.
Mm.
And I was just going, that's insane. At like 76, 77, 78 years old, whatever he was.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, oh well, he's 81. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I know.
he's not the 22-year-old McCartney. It is what it is.
But when you go to a show and pay a lot of money, you expect his voice needs to be better than that, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Well, and the other thing, it's like, okay, Paul, maybe you should take the songs down a half step. He's
Yep.
playing everything, I believe, if memory serves me correctly. He's still playing an A440.
Right. Right.
He still does everything in traditional tunings.
Right.
So, you know what? Just recalibrate everything, go down a
You're
half
right.
step.
You're
Yeah,
100% right.
he'll be able to sing
Yeah.
another 8 years.
I talked to Ian Anderson. His voice was going. You
Yeah.
could tell on the records. He was starting to sound like Dire Straits.
Hmm.
I talked to him about it. He said that's exactly what he did. He lowered. You know, he just sang like what he can sing, and if it's not up here, it's down here. But it was okay, and it worked. You know.
Yeah, at this point right now, like I do, we do, I have the, not me, but
Hmm.
any singer,
Right.
when you're in the studio, you have the option to like sing a line, and if it's not right, you can fix it, or,
Right.
you can catch your breath, and then, um, so anything the Daisies record is in A440.
Okay.
Um, but I know the rigors of touring. Again, this is what I
Sure.
talk about pacing. So I go, all right, when we rehearse and then get ready for the tour, I just have the guys take it down a half step
Sure.
to E flat. And then I'm not killing myself on stage. It
Right.
still sounds the same.
That's
It's very
smart.
close,
Yeah.
but it just gives me that little extra. I've got air. I can
Hmm.
breathe. I'm still good, you know. So it's just a trick you figure out, you learn. But
Are
even if you look at old videos of even guys like Ronnie Dio, who was
hmm.
amazing,
Yeah.
you know, you look at videos of him doing songs like Long Live Rock and Roll,
Right.
and he was in, A, then it went down to G,
Hmm.
and then at the end, I think he was in F sharp, and it's like, still belting, still sounded awesome, but you just tweak it
Yeah.
for the vocalist a little bit. And then
I,
you're not using tapes either.
I don't know how Brian Johnson does it, man.
Well,
Right?
but I love Brian. He's such a sweet dude.
Yep.
But even then, you can listen to the progression from Back in Black.
Yeah.
And for those about to rock, those two records, he sounds amazing on,
Yep.
on those albums. And then after, obviously all the touring, all the stuff, you can hear a little bit of a decline with each record. It goes down a little bit.
Hmm.
So, figure it out, dude. Do what you
Yeah.
got to do. But
But it's not real obvious. I mean, you would pick it up because you're a singer, but to people in the crowd, I don't think they can really pick it up. It's not an obvious thing,
right.
like McCartney. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't mean to
Yeah.
pick on McCartney. I'm just saying, when your voice
Again,
goes, your voice goes. You
yeah,
know?
you know what? It's like I've had this conversation with DJs and stuff. I remember being in it was either Brazil or
Hmm.
Argentina, and the guy was just railing Kiss because of the Paul
Paul
Stanley
Stanley, yeah.
didn't sound the same, and I'm like,
No.
dude, he's 70. Like literally, like, let's be real.
Yep.
Picture your dad
Right.
in a pair of 8-inch platform boots and all that gear with a guitar running
Yep.
around. Like, the fact that he's still kind of doing it
Right.
is hats off, dude. Like,
Yeah.
but again, it's we tend to, I still have people write to me. They look at me with this, graying beard, and they take a picture of me and they do a side by side from when I was in the Scream,
Right.
and they go, "Dude, what happened?"
Oh
And
no.
I'm like, "Time, bitch. Seriously, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I'm getting old. Like, whatever. It
Oh
is what it
man.
is."
It is what it is. Do you have another interview coming up at 12?
I yeah. Let me see what time it is, because I do
It's
have.
11:57 here.
Yeah, I have like 2 more minutes, 3 more minutes,
Okay.
and then I gotta jump.
I just want to say that the album's great. Some of my favorite tunes is "Light 'Em Up." I love that tune. "I Want to Be Your Bitch" was a kind of a punkish Alice Cooper track, right?
Yes, yeah,
I love that song,
pretty
though.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. "I'm Gonna Ride." That could be a great Harley Davidson commercial.
Your mouth to God's ears, buddy.
Oh my God, it's perfect for Harley Davidson. It really is. "Back to Zero." That's another one. And it's just a great album. "Way Back Home," you sound a little bit like Chris Cornell on that one for some reason. I just picked up a Chris Cornell vibe and a Soundgarden vibe on that one. Um, with some of my other, of course, "Love That'll Never Die" should be a top 40 hit, probably in the top five. You guys should present that on country music, on country radio, because it's a crossover. It could be a country tune as well. I really
Well,
think so.
again, uh, the whole radio thing, breaking radio, it's
It's hard. I know.
damn near impossible. So, um, I even tried. I took my clothes off and taped $100 bills to myself, and then walked through a radio station. Nobody even took anything.
I know.
Whatever. So,
I don't know. Maybe payola should be coming back. You know.
hey, it worked for Elvis. Come on.
I know. I just want to say a couple of things before we wrap up. Your "Seasons of Wither" was incredible. That's my favorite Aerosmith song. I love that song. And "Union." I had Bruce on the show. Bruce is a cool guy. Bruce Kulick. We talked about that. We talked about "Union," by the way. Um, One last thing: "Horseshoes and Grenades." Um, that's your book. Everybody should buy that book. Is that mostly about Motley Crue, or is that a little
No,
bit?
no, no,
No.
no. It's just life from beginning to end,
Okay.
or beginning up until I joined the Daisies again.
Right.
But it's just it just talks about my childhood, marriages that I was in and out of,
Right.
unfortunately. Talks about some of the different bands that I was in, some of the stuff that maybe people didn't know. Um, and it's just honestly about some, you know, 15-year-old punk from the streets of Philadelphia that wanted to be like Robert Plant when he
Right.
grew up.
Yeah.
And, I'm still somehow here 40, 50 years later, still
Awesome.
working on it. So it's all good.
Here's your final question. If you had a I ask everybody this question. If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie, to perform or collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
I can tell you right now, it would be Paul McCartney,
Okay.
Steven Tyler, and Jimmy Page.
Well, you got to play with Steven, right? You did Seasons of Wither with him?
Seasons of Wither. I sat on a couch and played it with him.
That's
But
awesome.
I mean, I'm just saying, to sit down and actually
Right.
write music,
Right.
I would love to write with one of those three guys.
Awesome. I want to say special thanks to Chipster PR for arranging this interview today. Purchase the latest album from the Dead Daisies, Light 'Em Up, featuring their brand new single, Love That'll Never Be. Also purchase Horseshoes and Grenades, tales from the other Motley Crue frontmen and journeys through a life In and Out of Rock and Roll. It's an autobiography by John Corabi. And let's see what else we got here. Your Own Worst Enemy. I like that. You're single.
Thank you, buddy.
Are you going to come out with a solo album?
Yes, actually, I am.
Okay, cool.
Not real sure what it's going to sound like. I'm actually working on music for it right now.
Okay.
But I'm looking forward to it. So
Me too,
Yeah.
man. Because the single's great. I love the
Thank you.
single.
Yeah, there's another one out there too called Casi Bella.
Okay.
I released 2 singles, and then I was trying to figure out how algorithms work. And I'm like, I give up. I'm just going to hold off for a minute, and then I have somebody else figure this out for me.
Well, I'll put both of them on my website.
All right, buddy.
That. For more information about Dead Daisies, you can visit the Dead Daisies official website, which is www.thedeaddaisies.com. They're on Facebook, Spotify, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube, Instagram, and of course, John Corabi's official website, www.johncorabi.com. John, thank you so much for being on the show today, man. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, boss.
All right, man. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Thank you for watching Interviewing the Legends with Ray Shasho.